The chapel went silent the moment my mother's voice cut through the air. "You changed your name." She didn't whisper it. She didn't even try to hide the judgment tucked inside every vowel. Her words hung in the air like a crack in stained glass, sharp, loud, impossible to ignore. Every head turned, my father tightened his grip on the memorial program. My brother Brendan stopped laughing mid-conversation in the doorway. Vivian blinked as if she was doing the math of who I was supposed to be. I slid quietly into the second row seat. The paper in my hand still carried the warmth of the printer. My new name, Evelyn Morrison, printed in ink so precise it felt like a verdict. The seat beside me, marked family, stayed empty, just like every seat they'd left empty before this one. But as I stared at that empty chair, at the absence that had followed me through every milestone, something inside me shifted. They thought today's silence exposed me. They were wrong. It exposed them. Growing up in Austin, our household operated on a simple hierarchy. Noise meant importance. Volume meant priority. And quiet. Quiet meant you didn't matter. My mother's heels echoed across the house. It's like a metronome synced exclusively to my siblings' needs, sharper when Brendan wanted something, softer and warmer for Vivian's carefully crafted fragility. Me. I was the quiet one, the self-sufficient one, the girl who didn't interrupt the noise that belonged to others. I learned early to fold myself small. The first memory that ever made me aware of my own invisibility happened when I was 12. Vivian had an art show. Acrylic paintings lined along the gym wall. My mother hovered beside her, smiling for neighbors, adjusting Vivian's hair, smoothing invisible wrinkles from her dress. I stood several feet away, holding a science competition certificate I'd earned earlier that same day. No one had shown up for it. No one even remembered the time Mom passed me without pausing, handing me Vivian's jacket like a coat rack. "Hold this for your sister," she said. That was it. Not a glance at the certificate. Not a question about the award. I folded the paper and slid it into my pocket. The crinkle echoed louder than my existence. High school didn't rewrite the script at graduation. My parents arrived late. Vivian and Brendan skipped completely. A lake party sounded more fun. When my name was called, I scanned the rows for the faces that mattered. My family's seats were empty. My stomach nodded. I tore the corner of the program just to feel something other than disappointment. College didn't change things either. At Rice, I sent reminders weeks before a departmental award ceremony. Vivian sent a heart emoji. Brendan left my message on read. My parents responded 3 days later with a casual, "Well, try." They didn't come. I sat on the dorm steps that night eating takeout. The award still sealed inside the envelope. My name printed on the front, a name they never bothered to show up for. Each year I grew quieter, each protest smaller, each disappointment internalized until eventually my voice disappeared altogether. But the day everything cracked wasn't dramatic. It wasn't explosive. It was quiet. 8 months before my dissertation defense. I sent them the date, April 22nd at 3 p.m. I texted, emailed, printed, and mailed the official notice. I announced it at every Sunday dinner. My mother nodded without looking up from her phone. Dad murmured something non-committal. Vivian talked about soccer schedules. Brendan bragged about a new grill. I repeated the date anyway. 5 months. 3 months. 6 weeks. It felt like tapping on a locked window. No sound on the other side. Then came Brendan's barbecue invitation. April 22nd, 1-6. P.M. He'd heard the date 20 times. When I called, he sounded genuinely confused. "What time is your thing again?" 3. "Oh, people can do both. Just come after." Stanford was an hour away. My mother wasn't any better. "Honey, don't be dramatic," she said. "We'll figure it out." I felt the truth slot into place. They weren't forgetting, they were choosing. And I wasn't on the list. The final blow came the day before my defense. My mother answered the phone over loud music. "I'm at Brendan's setting up," she laughed. "Just chaos here. And tomorrow?" I asked. 3, "Yes. We'll be there." Except they weren't. When the time came, I stood outside Patterson Hall smoothing the crease down the program. Waiting for footsteps that never arrived. My phone buzzed. Where are you? We're all at Brendan's. Course they were. Inside the auditorium, I defended 8 years of work to a room full of strangers. When the committee chair finally said the words, "Congratulations, Dr. Evelyn Brennan," I felt nothing but a familiar ache, an ache that didn't beg for attention anymore. That night, I opened a blank folder on my laptop and named it. Transition it was the first decision I'd made for myself in years. Asterisk, my plan unfolded quietly. No yelling. No announcement. No dramatic goodbye. Just steps. Precise. Necessary. Mine. The name change petition came first. I downloaded the forms. Printed them. Highlighted instructions. Gathered documents. It felt steady, grounded, like assembling a life in reverse, deconstructing what no longer fit so I could build what did. The next morning, walked into the county courthouse. My clothes were pressed. My hands were still. The clerk slid a stack of forms across the counter. Fill these out, line by line. I wrote the name that already felt like home. Evelyn Morrison. The clerk stamped the page. Processing would take weeks. That was fine. I'd waited my whole life for this. Next came the digital work, new email, new cloud drive, updated accounts, revised security settings, a spreadsheet mapping every old tie and every new system by midnight. The transition folder contained more structure than my family had ever offered me. Then I moved a small apartment in Portland. Quiet street, trees lining the windows. Gray skies that didn't feel heavy, just gentle. I boxed my belongings with care. Turned the frames face down. Sealed my research notes. Packed the letters from my grandmother, Ruth, the only person who had ever written my name with warmth. When the moving truck pulled away, I locked my old apartment without looking back. The drive north felt like unraveling threads behind me by the time I crossed into Oregon. The threads had dissolved entirely. Portland welcomed me with drizzle and soft light. My new job, an environmental consulting firm, felt like a place where showing up mattered because of who I was, not what I provided. No one compared me to siblings. No one minimized my achievements. No one asked why my family wasn't part of my life. They just asked my name, and I answered without hesitation, Evelyn Morrison. Evenings were quiet but full. I updated IDs, revised medical records, changed emergency contacts, closed the last account tied to Brennan. Every click felt like reclaiming space inside my own chest. Until one morning, a familiar ache lifted. My name change petition was approved. My new identity, one I chose. One that fit, was official. No ceremony. No confetti. But the silence that followed felt like oxygen. Then the ripples began. HR forwarded me a security alert. Your emergency contact attempted access. Access denied. My old email. Archived. My old number. Disconnected. Then a voicemail from my old apartment manager. Your family is trying to get your forwarding address. We cannot disclose without consent. Fate didn't have it. Finally, I powered on my old phone just once. 83 missed calls. Texts ranging from annoyed to frantic. Where are you? You're blowing this out of proportion. We need to talk. This silence is childish. You owe us an explanation. I owed them nothing. I turned the phone off and tucked it away for good. Then came the only reason I returned to Austin. Great Aunt Ruth's funeral. The one person who ever saw me. The chapel. Looked the same. And so did they. Until they saw my name printed on the program. Evelyn Morrison. My mother froze. You changed your name. I met her eyes. You never used it anyway. The chapel attendant gestured for silence, but their faces shock, confusion. Fear told me everything. They hadn't expected consequences. They had expected compliance. After the service, Mom followed me outside. Evelyn, this isn't fair. Families move past things. You chose a barbecue over my doctorate. Exaggerating. No, I'm done rewriting the truth so you feel better. She didn't have a response. Vivian approached. Next, you didn't have to go this far. Didn't go far, I said. I just went where I was seen. Brendan said nothing. I got into my car, closed the door, watched them blur behind the glass. They couldn't reach me anymore. Not emotionally, not legally, not digitally, and the strangest part, it didn't hurt. Portland became the kind of home silence had always promised to be, not empty, but calm. I settled into routines that didn't require performing. Coffee brewed in a small kitchen. Rain tapping softly against the balcony railing. Research papers spread across my desk. Emails addressed to Evelyn Morrison. At work. Colleagues remembered my projects. They asked about my desalination research. They valued my expertise without comparing me to anyone. I met new people. Built new friendships. Opened parts of myself I'd folded away years ago. Some evenings, sat on the balcony with a blanket around my shoulders, watching the drizzle blur the streetlights. Without meaning to, I would think about the empty chair at my defense. But now, the memory didn't sting, it just existed, like an old photograph tucked in the back of a drawer. I didn't hate them anymore. Hatred is heavy. Hatred is attachment. Hatred is a tether. I wasn't tethered. My new name had done something I never could. It drew a clean line. A boundary, not a barricade. On one side, the life where I waited to be chosen. On the other, the life where I chose myself. I hadn't run from my family. I had walked toward myself. Toward a name that finally fit the shape of my life. Toward cities. Where silence wasn't punishment. Toward people who showed up because they wanted to. Not because they were obligated. And one gray Oregon evening, as I signed an email, Evelyn Morrison, I realized something quieter than forgiveness and simpler than closure. I wasn't missing anymore. I had arrived. Boundaries aren't punishments. They are proof of where you finally learned to stand. My family spent years forgetting. Me in rooms I fought to enter. So I stopped entering. I built a life in a place where showing up wasn't optional. And now, when I speak my name, Evelyn Morrison, the silence that follows isn't empty. It's mine.